Hey, it's Alexa.
And Brielle.
This episode is simply for someone.
And we hope that's you. Thanks for joining us.
Experience the beauty of synergy at Synergy Skin Studio. We're thrilled to announce our partnership with the Simply for Someone podcast, where beauty meets wisdom, brought to you by Synergy Skin Studio. Discover the secret to radiant skin. Visit us today. Synergy Skin Studio, proud sponsor of Simply for Someone podcast. Beauty begins here.
Thanks for listening. This is Brielle.
And Alexa.
We're so glad you're here. We appreciate you listening and supporting this podcast because it's so fun.
Yes, thanks so much for being here. So on today's episode it's kind of like our little part 2 to our Finding Your Purpose topic we talked about in our last episode. 2 things that we kind of wanted to talk about today, and we'll dive into those. But one is going to be setting your goals. And then the other one, which I'm really excited to get into once we get there, is paying attention to your inner voice and your intuition, which I think is something so important. It's actually something that really stuck with me and was ingrained in me when I was really young. I thought setting your goals would be a good one to start with for this one. Thinking about what you want to achieve in your life, I think, is so important. And I think obviously it's natural for all of us to start thinking about that at a really young age. It's kind of ingrained in you as a kid. It's like you're going to go to school and then you're going to go to college and you're going to get this great degree. And that's kind of the society we've lived in for a really long time. I would say up until recently, that started to change. I was like the odd kid out because I did not want to go to college. Like I was not having it. I did not want to go. My parents weren't going to force me, which I think is really different too, because a lot of parents are kind of just like, no, you need to go to college. So I was really fortunate that that wasn't my case, but I also felt like a failure kind of like not wanting to choose that path and being like, well, am I going to be some kind of bum? Like, I don't want to be in that category of people. I want to be successful. I know that. But it's like, how am I going to get there? Right? Did you ever feel that way when you were a kid?
Yeah, I mean, not so much by my family or my parents. They didn't really make me feel like if I didn't go to college that I was like less successful or valuable than like my peers, but definitely by like other people, especially when you're in high school and everyone's like, "Oh, I'm applying here. I'm going to this college. Where are you going?" And I'm like, "The School of Hard Knocks. Look it up, man." Like, yeah, it wasn't for me. And
Yeah.
yeah, I always knew that I wanted to do something a little different, like trade school, although I did end up going to college for a little bit because I always have been a forever learner. I'm just someone who always wants to learn. So I didn't have a hard time with like the concept of school. But when I was younger, I didn't have fantastic grades because I'm someone where if I care, I'm going to apply myself and excel. If I don't care, you're not getting anything from me. Like, I'm not even going to listen. And it's so
Right.
obviously that has changed, as I've matured and grown up. But as a kid, I was like, I'm not going to listen. Like, I'm sorry. I don't care about this algorithm right now. Like, how is this relevant? All I want is lunch right now, or I want to go PE or like something a little bit more interactive. And it was always very hands-on.
Yeah.
In school, like traditional school, K through 12 is not necessarily built for somebody who's more of a hands-on learner. It's very sit down, listen, write your notes, and study that and apply it and figure it out. It wasn't like as hands-on. So I felt like I had a hard time when I was younger in school, and then that translated when I was trying to decide like what I wanted to do for a career, because I always knew that I wanted to be hands-on, and those careers aren't as public. Like people aren't like, it'd be a great idea, be an electrician. Like that's not what they're saying. They're like, be a doctor, be a lawyer,
Exactly.
if you're going to be creative, be a musician or be a famous whatever. It's like you have
Right.
to be the biggest name out there in order to be successful. And if it's anything in like applied sciences or anything like that, okay, like you need to go to college and you need to this is how you will learn. And that's kind of the system you're taught.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely think that's changed obviously in today's world and the year that we're in now, but I think that that was something that was so widely known and like common is for people our age when we went to school and when we were graduating and before that is feeling that pressure of, okay, I need to go to college and then what?
Yeah.
Like, what am I gonna do? Am I gonna figure out what I wanna do there? Like, that was the other thing too is like, well, how do I know what do I wanna do? Like, am I gonna figure that out in my 4 years of college? I don't know.
Right, and you didn't wanna, like, waste the money, and
Right.
and your
Yeah.
time, like, how do I know if this is what I'm gonna do? I remember the biggest struggle for me of not going to college that I wrestled with for a few years was, like, feeling like I missed, quote, "the college experience." Like, "Oh, I didn't get to, like, go move out right away," with all my friends, and we're all experiencing the same thing at the same time, and I'm not, going to these different events and these groups and the football games and the this and the that. Like, I didn't do that because I didn't have that experience because I did not go to traditional college. I mean, I feel like looking back on it now today, I don't feel like I really lacked or missed anything.
Mhm.
Not to say that everybody who doesn't go to college ends up successful or not successful. Everything in life is a choice, and you're going to
Right.
choose your future based on your decisions now and moving forward. But no, that was a really long answer to that, but
No, but I think it's important because that leads into, like, what I wanted to talk about next was defining your objectives and what does that mean? So, there's a few things that I was kind of, like, looking up and reading on when it came to this because I'm someone who, like, wants to know more about a topic before talking about it because I have my own opinions, you have your own opinions, but I also, like, wanna know, like, what there is statistically proven that
yeah,
helps you succeed in something.
yep.
So those 3 things that I'll read off and then we'll kinda, like, dive into and talk about, but what do I want to accomplish? Why is your goal important to you? And how will achieving this goal benefit me or others? So I think those 3 things are so important when it comes to setting a goal for yourself, whether it be financial, career, school, starting a family, whatever it is. I think those are all things that you can apply to your life and apply to that goal to be able to hopefully have it succeed and go in a positive direction. So, for example, when I was starting out after high school and knowing that I didn't want to go to college, I just knew I wanted to become successful in some way. And I knew that whatever I chose in that moment probably wasn't going to be my forever. I knew that. But I just knew whatever I was going to do, I wanted to make sure I succeeded at it. So the job that I chose, I moved up in and I stayed there for 4 years and it provided me so much experience and so much knowledge to the things that I do today. And I'm super thankful for that. I think that you don't have to choose something, no matter what it is in your life or where you're at in life, and make it be your forever. I think that's a lot of pressure on somebody. So I think that that's something that is important just because you can accomplish anything you put your mind to, and you're gonna choose something different in every season of your life. It's gonna be a different road you're going down, whether it's you're starting a new career or you're wanting to start a family or you're wanting to travel or it can be anything.
Or go back to school, maybe you chose not to go to college, you try the school of hard knocks and maybe you didn't get a superb degree like me and and, you decided to go back to school and pursue something that you need a degree for, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with taking time to get to that place.
Yeah, figuring out what you want to accomplish is, like, such a big step, but also knowing that, like, you're gonna choose something different in every season of your life is also super important. I also think having an importance to your goal is also huge because if it's not important to you, it's gonna be hard for you to wanna succeed and wanna put your effort towards it. So I think, when it comes to setting a goal for yourself, finding research about it or looking for help to succeed and interacting with the right people and connecting with the right people, having a community, building relationships, all those things are going to help you decide whether or not this may be meant for you or not. Because ultimately, you're going to be the person who decides that. But there are things that can help you and searching for that too.
Yeah, I agree. Creating a sense of urgency around anything that you're wanting to have immediate or near future success in is really important, and planning that out, not just saying, okay, yes, this is what I want to do, but creating a plan, like writing it down. We always talk about words are powerful. Like, writing it down, writing it out, and then, putting it into action. It's really important. And planning that out, not just saying, okay, yes, this is what I want to do, but creating a plan, like writing it down. We always talk about words are powerful. like
Mhm.
writing it down, looking at it every day. That's why I'm so into vision boards, because it's like you're putting it on paper or a board, that you can look at every single day and be like, yes, this is where I want to be. This is what I want. How am I going to get there? Make a plan, commit to it. And I feel like that's something in today's society is so hard for people is commitment. Like not
Yeah.
just relationships or friendships or business partnerships, but like even to our own goals. Like we're like, I want to get fit, or I want to start this business, or I want to do this. And then it requires work, and commitment over time. And there's no guaranteed set time on those goals. And you just have to buckle down and commit to it and do the work. It's a grind. Everything in life, everything that is worth something is going to require work and commitment and perseverance through that, but it's always so beautiful. So I think that's also something to consider when you're thinking about finding your purpose, is that there is a level of work required for anything that you're wanting to achieve.
Yeah, I love that. I also think, going off of that is thinking about how achieving your goal, like I had mentioned when I read these off, but how it will benefit you or others. I constantly think about the choices that I make, whether it's a goal or not, how it's going to affect me and my future family or my future just itself down the road. I think that's so important to think about, whether it's, you deciding, do you want to move across the country and be away from your family and start this new career, new life? If you do, that's fantastic. Are you thinking about how it may affect you not having your family and not being around the people that you love and having that support system? If you're thinking about changing your career, that's a huge move for a lot of people. If you're jumping from one thing to another, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. Are you ready for this? Did you put the work in to figure out if this road is somewhere you want to go and some place you want to go down? I think that all those things are obviously so important, just because I've always heard the whole, like I said, grass isn't greener on the other side. And it's so true. And obviously, you won't know what the outcome of something is until it happens. But I think it's so important just to do your research and really sit down and plan to an extent of how you might want something to go and how it looks for you, and making sure it aligns with your life at the moment that you're in.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, like you were saying, thinking about how it benefits you and your future self and the people around you is so important, not even just directly your people, but like how is that affecting your community, your world, as decisions as small as like, do I recycle, right? Like super silly, small example, but like, how is that going to affect your future children and their generations? Will it? Will it not? That is for you to do your research on and for you to decide your beliefs on that. But I think part of that too comes in faith, like you can plan and you just set a goal, you have to plan for it, you have to work hard, but then at some point there does have to be a little bit of letting go and let God, as I say, like you just got to have faith that you've done your due diligence, and at this point, like you have to just let go and experience it and know that everything's going to be okay. Whether the outcome is what you were desiring and hoping for or it's not, whatever was meant to happen is going to happen, and you can't control that. You can only control yourself and your reaction to things. You can't control, other people's reactions. You can't control how, if that employer likes you or if that employment opportunity did or didn't work out, based on unforeseen circumstances. You can't control everything. As humans, I think innately we want to control everything. We're like, this is how I want it to be. So this is what I'm going to do. And eventually, as long as you're doing your due diligence, you're showing up, you're committed to it, you've set a goal, you've set a plan, then just let go and enjoy it. I think there's moments in my life where I look back and I was like, at the time, I'm like, this is so stressful. Like, this is the worst time ever. And I look back and I'm like, dang, I wish I would have appreciated that season in my life. Like, I feel like a really good example is like singleness. Like people are always like, I hate being single. It's so horrible. And then they get in a relationship and then they're like, man, I wish I had more free time. I wish I didn't have
Yeah.
to be concerned and obligated to loving selflessly this other person in my life. Like we take for granted the things that we have in the moment. And like you're saying, the grass isn't always greener. So just let go. It's going to work out. Okay. And you're not alone.
Let go and listen to your inner voice. Listen to that intuition. That was another thing that we wanted to talk about is that inner voice, and we all know what that is. We've all felt it. We've all heard it.
The gut feeling, as some people may say.
Yes, the gut feeling. Like, when you get that feeling inside you when you might be making a mistake and it's like telling you, "Wait a second, this isn't right." It's like a tight, tense feeling in your gut. That feeling is so powerful. Like so powerful. I felt it many times before and I'm like, "Thank God I listened to that gut feeling because I feel like in certain situations it's really saved me." And I'm so thankful for that, to be able to recognize and listen to that.
I would agree with that. I feel like it's such a trending topic right now, your inner voice. Like, I feel like maybe it's just my social media,
No,
but
no,
it's,
I
like, showing
agree.
up all over for me, and I've had a chance to kind of reflect on it and think about it, and I agree that, like, listening to, what many people call your inner voice is, like, so important. I don't personally see it as, like, my inner voice. I see it as, like, the Holy Spirit, like, kinda nudging at me, like, "Hey, like, this might not be for you," or, "Hey, like, this is where you need to be," or closing a door I may or may not want closed or opened, and that's kind of it's the Lord directing me. So that's how I see it. So that's my version of inner voice. So when I refer to inner voice, just know I'm talking about the Holy Spirit. But yes, inner voice is so important. It's easy to get caught up in our situations that we're in. So I think it's also important to take a step back, and kind of meditate on things, pray on them, think about them, talk to your loved ones, obviously, is like a great way too. But eventually you do have to have that self-confidence and you can't only, rely on your plan or your goal that you set or the person next to you that you care about and their opinion of it. It's like you just need to sit there and be like, I know I've done what I can. That's all I can do. And I'm having this feeling that this is where I'm meant to be or not meant to be. And so I'm going to move forward in that and be confident in moving forward in that because I know myself so well. I feel like inner voice ties in a lot with self confidence, and self esteem is an aspect of that. Like, how do you feel about yourself? Because I feel like when you're really confident, it's easier to hear that inner voice. When you're confident in who you are and you're confident in the decisions that you have made, it's a lot easier to hear that inner voice than it is when you might be in a season of like doubt with yourself, or struggling with having that strong self-confidence and self-esteem.
Yeah, I love that. I think also with inner voice, a lot of people tie in intuition with it, which I actually was kind of looking at the difference between the two because there is a slight difference. I mean, a lot of people think that they mean the same thing, but they don't.
Mhm,
And I wanted to read something that talks about how they're related. So, your
mhm.
inner voice can influence your intuition. Intuition can be considered a component of your inner voice. It's part of your internal dialogue that provides quick, intuitive insights or feelings about a situation or decision. Developing self awareness and mindfulness can help you distinguish between your inner voice and intuition. So, really, yes, they're related in the fact that I think they help each other. And I think that if you have a good intuition, that can help you decide what is your inner voice telling you. I think that that's just so important when it comes to setting your goals. Like we talked about earlier, like if you are having some kind of hesitation about something that you should or shouldn't be doing, then you really should see that through and you really should stop and take a step back and see, okay, what is it that's causing me to feel like this? What should I do about it? How should I move forward? I think that's something that a lot of people don't recognize. And I'm so thankful that that was ingrained in me at such a young age. My mom always told me, like to this day, it's something that I hear her tell me in the back of my head. Listen to your gut, listen to your inner voice, listen to your intuition, like all those things she's always told me. And I'm so glad that it's something that I do when it comes to making decisions because I really feel like it's such a helpful tool for me.
Yeah, I would agree. I feel like a lot of decisions when I am on the fence, like, that's the first thing I think is, like, what is my initial response to this? But then I question it, and I'm like, "Why did I feel that way?" And, like, what could lead me to feel this way too? Because self-sabotage also exists in a lot of areas of our life where we're, like, afraid of something. We're afraid to start the new job. We're afraid to do this thing, and so out of fear, we're like, "Ooh, I don't know." And it's like, it's not your gut instinct saying this is or isn't right for you. It's your fear that's talking, and you're like, I believe we're not called to live a life of fear. We're obviously going to be fearful of some things. That's only human. But I don't think we're meant to live our lives being afraid of everything,
Yeah.
and not taking risk and moving forward in life out of fear. There's a reason you feel the way you feel, but also don't just go with the first feeling you have, because feelings are fleeting. You could feel one way one day and then tomorrow you feel the next way, and that's frequently in my life, it's been based on whatever situation I'm in. So if
Right.
I'm like, how am I feeling about this today? I don't know. I didn't have coffee and I woke up a little late and I'm stressed out. So maybe I'm going to respond to this situation with stress rather than coming at it a different way if I would have had my coffee and gotten proper sleep. So intuition is definitely so important. But in my life, I feel like I always like to challenge my intuition a little bit and make sure that it's true. And that's for
Yeah.
me where like prayer and reflection comes in.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's really important to challenge yourself in all aspects of your life, but specifically when it comes to setting your goals and building a life that you want to succeed in and really something that's meant for you, you are in complete control of that. And I think that just these small tools are just ways to help someone in that way
Yeah.
and, building their confidence and their dream life, as some people would say. Obviously, that changes for day to day. What might be what you think you have today will not be what you have tomorrow. But that's like the roller coaster of life. That's how it's going to be. And I think that is something that you honestly shouldn't take for granted because it's a constant learning, evolving cycle. And I think that it just teaches you more and more. And it's something that you can reflect on later and be grateful for at one point.
Yeah, I agree. That's just the human experience. It's only natural to feel all the feelings, the excitement, the fear, whatever it is, whatever situation you're in. It's normal and you're not alone. Alexa and I have both been there many times in our lives where we're like,
Yeah.
is this what I'm supposed to be doing? I know we've called each other multiple times and been like, I don't know,
Yeah,
like
literally.
yeah, life can be a bit of a roller coaster for everyone, but you're not alone. And hopefully, these few tools helped you to kind of sit back and reflect a little bit and think about, what your purpose is and maybe how you want to move forward. I feel like I want to end this episode on like a challenge of like, what's maybe do one thing for yourself this week that would either encourage you to find your passion or if you know it to pursue it and your purpose in life, because I think passion can lead to purpose. So if you don't have something you're passionate about, start looking stuff up, baby girl, do something like get out your comfort zone, do something you normally wouldn't do. Who knows? Maybe you never know in life, if you're going to find something you love, if who you're going to meet along the way. So I'd encourage you to do something to chase your passion and find your purpose.
We're holding each other accountable, and you guys are going to hold us accountable. I love that. Thank you guys so much for being here and supporting us as always. We're so grateful, and I honestly wouldn't want to spend my night any other way.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. And we will report back next week with what we did to chase our passion or purpose. We'll let you know. Bye.
Hi, friends. Thanks so much for listening to our podcast, Simply for Someone. We appreciate you supporting us. We would love it if you took a moment to share this episode with someone close to you.
We hope this episode was simply for you. Get to know us more by subscribing to our podcast and following us on all social media platforms at Simply for Someone Podcast. You can find our personal social media pages at Simply Alexa Nicole and The Brielle Fisher. Thanks so much, and until next episode.